In this video, I'm playing Terraria, but I'm the clicker class. Basically, instead of using normal weapons, I use my mouse and in-game clickers to damage enemies. And occasionally some game-breaking exploits, but don't worry about that. Will I be able to defeat the Moonlord, or will this challenge be too hard? Make sure you smash that like button, gamers, and let's get right into this. The first thing I need to do is make a character, so I name it Clink. Get it? Because it's like Link, but I finish making the world and spawn in on day 1. I slap a tree, and by using the power of wood, I am able to forge an elite wooden clicker. Coincidentally, elite happens to be the best modifier for clickers, so, you know, that's pretty neat. After clicking some slimes to death, I decided to go do some caving. I do some mining, find climbing claws, and explore some living trees. I go into an ice cave looking for some gold chests, and it's almost nighttime, so I start working on NPC homes, hoping to get the merchant. While doing that, I make a lead clicker. It ends up getting the modifier laggy, which is annoying, but this clicker does have a special effect. Every 10 clicks is a double click, where I do double the damage. It's now the first night, and I do some more mining, and manage to find a heart crystal, magic mirror, and Herm's boots. And at my base, I make a gold clicker, which has the same effect as the lead clicker, but it takes 2 less clicks to activate. It's officially day 2, and I pop a gravity potion and find a Star Fury. Too bad I'm only using clickers. Eventually, though, I do find some fledgling wings, and I go back to my base and finish working on my NPC homes. Now that I have wings and can't take fall damage, I go back into my cave to do some more mining and get gems for magic storage. I also managed to find a few heart crystals and at my base, I find the merchant who happened to be selling a cookie. When equipped, it will occasionally spawn cookies in my clicker range. If I click those cookies, I get bonus damage, a bigger clicker radius, and a life regeneration boost for a couple of seconds. At this point, I'm starting to feel pretty powerful, so I decided to challenge the Eye of Cthulhu. My gold clicker absolutely shreds the boss, and pretty soon, it's dead. Using the Crimtane dropped from the boss, I make the Sinister clicker. Its effect is that every 10 clicks, I do extra damage and gain 5 health back. It also got elite, so that's pretty neat, you know. After that, I get to work on some more NPC what is that? It's day 3, I do a little bit more mining, hoping to find some diamonds for magic storage, but no such luck. I do, however, manage to get some heart crystals and lots of gold, and I craft a gold crown for King Slime, and on the way to the Crimson, I refight the Eye of Cthulhu. Bing, bang, boom, and it's dead. I craft a slime crown, summon King Slime, and after clicking at the speed of sound, it's gone, reduced to atoms. It's now day 4 and the traveling merchant arrives, and he's selling a soda. When equipped, it reduces the amount of clicks needed for your effect by 1, so it's fine but not amazing. Yet. So at this point, I get the totally amazing idea to download an auto clicker and try it out. I set it to its quickest setting and head for the Crimson. In the Crimson, I found an enchanted LED, which basically makes my click stronger overall and makes some light appear whenever I click. I then smash all 3 hearts and battle the Brain of Cthulhu. I activate the auto clicker and immediately realize this wasn't really the best boss to auto click to death. Nonetheless, the boss goes down in seconds. I head home, craft a Deathbringer pickaxe as well as Crimson Greaves, and head back to the Crimson to redeem myself. This time around, I fight the boss without an auto clicker, but it's still just as easy. I go back home and make the remaining pieces of the Crimson armor as well as a Crimtane axe. After doing this, I immediately make my way to the dungeon to try and challenge Skeletron. I started the battle by clicking at the speed of light, and pretty soon, Skeletron was at half health. Oh look, it's dead. I headed into the dungeon on day 5, and pretty soon I found the mechanic, and wouldn't you know it, she's selling hand cream. How convenient. Apparently with this accessory you can auto-click enemies, but I wasn't really sure how to use it, so I just kept it unequipped for now. At one point, one of the enemies dropped a glass of milk, which pretty much made me do more damage based on my clicks per second. And on day 6, I went back home and got to work on some basic magic storage. After that, I head to the tundra and start building some more NPC homes. One quick building session later, and they've moved in. I buy a ton of wire from the mechanic and go home to craft the motherboard helmet, suit, and motherboard boots. Overall, it just made my clicking ability more powerful, and its set bonus let me place this little drone thingy that extended my click radius. It's now day 7 and I head to the jungle. Here I ended up getting the last of the heart crystals I needed and challenged Queen Bee. Some quick clicking later and it's dead, barely making a scratch on me. I found an anklet of the wind and I made my way back to the surface of the jungle to build some more homes. Afterward, I waited in my bed dead, and finally on day 9 it happened. A goblin army approached from the west. And after clicking an army to death, the goblins were gone. After a quick bit of searching, I was able to find the goblin tinker who was selling a mouse pad which increased my click radius by 25%. I also bought rocket boots as well as a tinker station. Now, by combining the enchanted LED, soda, mouse pad, and the legendary hand cream, we can make the ultimate gamer crate. I also craft some lightning boots and combine the milk and cookie together. After the ultimate crafting session, I make my way down to the underworld, stopping only to build some cavern homes. I open some shadow chests in the underworld and manage to find the umbral clicker, which every 8 clicks releases a burst of homing shadow attacks. On day 10, I literally just stood still the whole day. On day 11, I did some hellstone mining and crafted the molten pickaxe. And finally, on day 12, I challenged the wall of flesh, and after clicking at the speed of light, I managed to run through the sky, yeah. We are now officially in hard mode, and you know those things called hard mode ores? Pfft, screw those, we're staying with pre-hard mode armor and non-metal weapons. So, the first thing I do is visit the demolitionist who happened to be selling a big red button, a totally non-exploitable item that causes a huge explosion every 25 clicks. The next thing I did was look for the hollow, and after a bit of searching, I was able to find it. I went underground and looked for some crystal shards, but sadly I wasn't able to find all the ones that I needed. I went back to the surface of the hollow and started grinding some gastropods, hoping to get a specific drop, and right as it turned to day, I got the chocolate chip. Its effect is similar to the big red button. Every 15 clicks it releases an explosion of damaging chocolate, plus I was able to combine it to make the chocolate milk and cookies. On day 13, I went looking for crystal shards again, but I soon came to realize that I actually needed a mithril anvil to progress in the game. So naturally, when I needed to do something, I went to go fight Queen Slime. And I grabbed my pwn hammer, went to the Crimson, and wham bam shangalang, we got hard mode ore. I only really needed the anvil, so that's all I bothered mining for, and eventually I had it. After getting the anvil, I grabbed the last bit of crystal shard I needed, and I made the crystal clicker. Every 6 clicks, it would cause a shimmering attack that would confuse any enemies in a close enough range. I went to refight the Queen Slime, and this time I successfully defeated it. After a bit more grinding, I had all the materials required for a mechanical worm, and after making a simple arena, I decided to challenge the Destroyer. And let me just say, the explosion from the big red bun absolutely destroyed this thing. After a bit of clicking at a speed which could escape a black hole, the Destroyer had been destroyed. Using the hallowed bars I got, I crafted Arthur's clicker, which every 9 clicks critically hits anything in the immediate area. There was still a little bit of time left in the night, so I quickly made a mechanical eye and challenged the twins. Everything was going fine, and I was close to winning, and then this happened. Well, it was now day 14 and I spent a majority of the day preparing to fight Skeletron Prime and refight the twins. After grabbing some potions, I battled the twins and this time I win with ease. Afterward, I challenged Skeletron Prime, a really easy boss that is super boring and oh look, it's dead. Now that I had all the souls of the mechanical bosses, I was able to combine them to make the Overclock armor, which buffs all my stats overall and has an insane set bonus. Every 100 clicks, I would go into Overclock mode and every click activated my clicker ability. And do you remember the big red butt? Oh my, that is insane. Sadly though, because I made the armor, I didn't have the hollowed bars for a Drax. Screw Chlorophyte, I don't need it. When did Chlorophyte ever help me? On day 15, I headed into the jungle looking for life fruit as well as a Plantera bulb. I only ever managed to find 1 life fruit sadly, but I don't need any more than that. Then finally, on day 18, I managed to find a Plantera bulb. Going into the fight, I believed that I could win. It may be a bit of a struggle though, because I'm using some weaker armor and oh my god, that is freaking powerful. The big red button was so much that it caused the game to just lag so bad. I'm assuming that this is because it was the 1.4 alpha, but honestly, who knows? I headed into the jungle temple, making my way through it slowly but surely, and eventually I made my way to Golem, and you know what? This isn't even funny anymore. I killed Golem a couple more times so that I could get a pick saw, and I grinded some lizards for a bit. Afterward, I used the solar tablet fragments I got from the temple and crafted the precursor armor as well as the lizard clicker. The set bonus of the precursor armor created a delay small explosion after every click. It was okay, but not insane. The lizard clicker had an effect where every 8 clicks, it caused a small explosion. This was also fine, but it could be better. Afterward, I headed to the dungeon and challenged the lunatic cultist. I'm not too used to the attack pattern of this boss, so I did end up losing, but it was a pretty close fight. I immediately go back to the dungeon thinking the cultists would have already respawned, and I managed to find a Martian probe. Apparently those things can go through blocks, so I started the Martian Madness event. Eventually, a Martian saucer spawns, and after taking it out, I managed to get the high-tech clicker. Basically, every 7 clicks, it releases 4 piercing and homing lasers that do tons of damage. This clicker was immensely better than the lizard clicker, and after killing all the Martians, I headed back to the cultists for a rematch. And on day 19, the battle begins. This time around, I used the overclock armor and, let's just say it was definitely easier. The lunar event started and I took out 3 of the pillars, each dropping their respective fragments as well as mice fragments. After combining these fragments, I was able to forge the mice clicker, where every 7 clicks would shoot out a bunch of projectiles that would eventually come back to my cursor. After taking out the last pillar, I died. Meaning I couldn't get the fragments to make super healing potions, which is fine I guess, but I am fighting the Moon Lord with pre-Plantera armor, 40 defense, and only 405 health. And finally, on the dawn of the 20th day, the battle begins. After clicking faster than I've ever clicked before, and using broken exploits, I was able to open the core. Finally, I got the overclock effect and was able to lag the Moon Lord to victory. The boss dropped the final clicker in the game. The clicker. Every click did 1% of an enemy's max life, meaning anything in the game would die in at most 100 clicks. I refight the Moon Lord one last time with the clicker and decided my fingers needed a break.